Welcome back to the Elle-Sera podcast. And today I've got a woman who needs no introduction. If you've been a follower of us for a long time, you'll know that she's been right by my side from the inception of this business. This is Kate Fearnley. And Kate, how do you want me to introduce you? I feel like you say it better than me.
Oh, bless you. So I have two businesses. I have a distribution business for high quality supplements that are selected by myself to ensure the client that they're getting the best quality product that's going to give them the best results. And I also have a one-to-one health coaching business as well, where I work with clients on a one-to-one basis to help coach them with their health and well-being.
Fabulous. Okay. So we met years ago and I was just blown away by like your ethos, your energy, and you were just someone that I really like to bounce our ideas around with, especially because we both come from the same place in kind of the supplement space that we know there's a lot of, well, let's be honest, crap in the bag. Yes. That a lot of people are putting out there and selling, and we do rail against all this. And that's one of the reasons I like you. Like, we don't mind calling out crap for what it is, essentially. So talk me through your potted history of how you've come to being where you are now.
Yeah, and I think that's really relevant for people because it gives them some assurance when I'm recommending and working with certain products and brands, because my career in health actually started in the pharmaceutical industry. And I was in the industry for around 5 years. And the conclusion I came to was every acute and chronic illness in the body is a result of vitamin and mineral deficiencies and inflammation. So the root cause, it was more achieving better health was getting to the root cause of these vitamin and mineral deficiencies, which is now strongly linked to what we're seeing acute chronic inflammation in the body. So I started looking at naturopathic nutrition and functional medicine and how we can work with the body to make sure its vitamin and mineral levels are optimized to prevent acute and chronic illnesses manifesting in the body. So after 5 years in pharmaceuticals, I went and studied naturopathic nutrition and functional medicine. And then I came to the conclusion that given the world we're living in, we're seeing this increased polarity of what is a decreasingly nutrient-dense food chain. So we're seeing more processed foods, we're seeing foods wrapped in plastics, microwaved foods flown from overseas, foods riddled in pesticides. So what we're getting out of our food chain isn't enough to support our bodies properly. And then in opposition to that, we're seeing increasingly stressful and demanding lifestyles. So as the food chain is getting decreasingly nutrient dense, our lifestyles are getting increasingly stressful and demanding. And it's causing this widening nutritional void. And when the body starts to experience nutritional deficiencies, acute disease and inflammation begins to manifest in the body. And then when that happens over a prolonged period of time, it can come into more chronic issues like cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes. So I really wanted to start educating people on how they could counteract these nutritional voids. Because although our food chain and our lifestyle will always be the fundamentals, or the two main pillars of our health and well-being, whilst those aren't serving us fully, because we're all eating, like I said, the modern food chain, highly processed, we're all leading very busy lifestyles, supplements are key in the modern world to filling in those nutritional gaps. And this is where I started becoming quite vocal on educating people on how to supplement, because this is where the big but comes in. It's not a case of just walking into a high street store, picking up a supplement off a shelf and assuming, oh, that's going to prevent me from having any vitamin and mineral deficiencies. It's taking the right supplements in the right dosages at the right quality. And that's when people start to get confused and overwhelmed. And the issue is now, because health and well-being is becoming one of the most lucrative markets in the world, so many companies are trying to monetize on the industry and choosing product profit over performance. So I would say, having worked in the industry for around 10 years now, having formulated for some of the top brands, account managed for some of the major global brands, that around 90, if not even 95% of product out there is very poor quality and isn't giving people the nutritional benefits that it should be.
Do you think the people who own these businesses, there's a big divide in them, right? I see in the industry, there are literally people who know they are putting crap in a bag and fully knowing that they are putting crap profits before people, and it's a marketing task.
Yes, exactly.
They're into the marketing, they're into the figures, and they're into making money, and they
just want it to sell.
Just want to sell. They don't care how about the customers. They'll offer this, that, the other, whatever. They don't actually care the outcome. There's then you've got people who genuinely want to make a good supplement. This is what I've found recently. But actually, and they think they are making a good supplement, and then under third-party testing and scrutiny, then it's actually not performing as it should do. But I truly believe that they probably don't know.
Exactly. There's a lack of competence and regulation in the industry as well.
Yeah, I think because it is like the Wild West. It really is like the Wild West. And this is something that I've come to realise, because while I try and hunt out the best manufacturers I can do, and then put them under due diligence, etc., and make sure, and I then check up on them. How many times are you testing this product? Are you testing the raw materials? Where are you buying your raw materials? Is it been tested for mercury? The amount of checks I do on my manufacturer before I even begin a negotiation with them is extensive.
Yes.
And I feel like there's a lot of people who don't even do that. They are just like, oh, well, this is a manufacturer. They make supplements. They're telling me that's magnesium. Great, I'm going to do it. So I think there's a lot of, let's say somebody wanted to start a supplement brand or whatever. I think they think they've got the best of intentions, but actually they're probably just too trusting of a manufacturer who might not be as good.
Exactly.
I think and until we bring, and I am somebody who's so vocal about, I'd love there to be more regulation.
Yeah.
Because it's always on my conscience that not only do we meet good manufacturing practices, but we exceed those standards.
Yes.
And we try and do as many checks as we can do on our supplements. So it's important to me when I see other people's products that they've been through that testing. Yes. But if you're just general public, Joe Public, and you're walking in Holland & Barrett or wherever, you just don't know, and it's confusing, isn't it?
Yes, exactly this. And this is where I think we're moving into an era in the supplements market where it's really important to choose brands that they have a high level of authenticity and transparency in their business. And I think having founders that are very much at the front of the business or people representing the brand is a really good indication, because bigger isn't always best with supplement brands. And having, like I say, worked with some of the biggest brands globally and formulated for them, because the business is huge, it doesn't mean it's producing the best quality supplements. Some of the smaller companies who have got that more due diligence and attention to care with their products, they're the businesses that are bringing the best products to market. And as well, when we're producing supplements on such a huge scale, it can be hard because the market's moving and expanding so quickly, to tweak and change formulas as and when required. Whereas I think working with brands who are constantly reviewing their formulas and having a real strong duty of care to who they're working with, the manufacturers are working with, these are the brands that are bringing the best products to market.
Yeah. A lot of people say, I don't need supplements, or a lot of people say you shouldn't need to supplement, you can get everything from your diet. Is that true or not?
Brilliant question. In an ideal world, and that's actually one of my goals in life, absolutely, because we'd be having a nutritionally dense food chain and we'd be having a lifestyle that's not depleting our bodies. And an analogy I often use is we've lost the art of daydreaming. Even when we sit on a train, everyone starts scrolling on their phones, on laptops. We never give ourselves, if we're not physically moving, we're mentally draining ourselves. So until that begins to change, and we are seeing awareness with that, meditation, breath work, slow living's becoming the new wealth in life, but we're still a long, long way to regulating our nervous systems to a point where they're not getting constantly depleted by EMFs, technological exposure, a food chain which unfortunately is riddled with pesticides. Even if a fruit and vegetable is grown organic at source, if it's then transported into another country, it legally has to be sprayed with pesticides before it enters that country. Obviously, we've got all the parabens and sulfates and the skincare products we use, etc. So we're constantly exposing our bodies to things that are like dysregulating our nervous system and depleting us of vitamins and minerals. So in the modern world, and I saw this in the pharmaceutical industry and then working for the major supplement brands before setting up my own business, that people are experiencing acute and chronic illnesses because they cannot get what they need from the modern food chain. And this is where I'm not saying supplements replace healthy eating. We eat as nutritionally dense as we can with the resources we've got available to us, but we must fill in the gaps with high quality supplements. And this is what I was witnessing being the result of illnesses whilst working in the pharmaceutical industry. And then I was working for one of the UK's leading high quality supplement brands. And I was seeing with qualified and correct application of high quality supplements, it was transforming people's health and well-being. And that's not saying these are a magic pill. You do, if you take all the supplements in the world, but if you're eating a crap nutrition and you're stressing your body out, not getting enough sleep, overworking, overtraining, etc., no supplement is going to cure you, so to speak, but it can make drastic improvements.
Apologies for interrupting this podcast, but I need to ask a favour. If you're enjoying this podcast so far, then please hit that subscribe button right now. I'll be straight up and honest that I want to see this podcast grow and flourish into something that I'm really proud of. And the only way that I can do that is with your help. So if you've ever learned anything useful from these conversations, then please return the favour by liking, rating, subscribing, and maybe even sharing it with your friends. Thanks very much. Let's get back to the episode. I always say and I post it on Instagram quite a lot. So it's like a pyramid. At the bottom, biggest one, is your food, stress levels.
Exactly this.
Meditation, all of those great things, exercise, all have to be there. They're the biggest ones, the largest ones that you should be focusing on. 100%. Right at the top of the pyramid is supplementation.
Exactly.
It's the cherry on top to optimize up, as long as you've got all these foundations in place.
It is, and that's, like I said, the clues in the name is supplement. It's not, we don't call them replacement.
No.
It's just supplement, and it's making sure. And for people like for myself, like I've been traveling this week, I'm traveling again at the end of the week, and it can be hard to really stay on track with your nutrition when you're traveling. So I also see supplements help me when I'm traveling, or if I'm not getting enough sleep as I'd like to be getting, I'll take extra magnesium. So it's almost like health hacking with them a little bit, but not having the mindset that, oh, these are a magic pill and everything, I'm fine. I can booze, I can, get a little sleep, I can eat processed foods, but it's okay because I've got my supplements.
Yeah.
It's exactly as you say, they're at the top of the pyramid for filling in, unfortunately, how we've sabotaged our food chain and how we are realising this more now, but in the past 10 years, we've just pushed our lifestyles too much to the point where we're putting too much stress and strain on the body, and realising that it's slow living we should be seeing as the real abundance, not fast living.
That is very interesting and something I need to definitely pick up on. I wish I could a bit more. So we'll get into what you think are the best supplements that we should all be taking in a minute. But I also want to look at ones that we probably should stay away from. There's one in particular, I'll mention it. It's called AG1 that I think is literal crap. Like absolutely pointless. You want a really expensive weed? Go and buy AG1. I look at it and I think its top ingredient is spirulina, which means it's the biggest one.
Yes. And
it's got another, I don't know if somebody wants to fact check this. How many ingredients has AG1 got?
They're around 30. I think
so that's a lot. So it'd be around 30 ingredients, of which everything after the spirulina must be smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yes.
It's a green drink that tastes like shit. But each one of those ingredients can't be doing anything to you because it's such a low dose, it's not therapeutic. So is sometimes when you see a supplement or a greens drink, or is more ingredients better?
That's a really good purchasing guide if you're looking at supplements. A marketing ploy, and I know this from having formulated, like I say, for other brands, when they used to give me a spec of what they wanted me to do for them. they would often want like 10, 20, 30 ingredients in their product because they know when the consumer looks at that, they assume it's the best. Oh, wow, this has got X, Y, Z and E in it.
I've covered all my bases.
A classic example is the A to Z multivitamin, which is, the biggest, it's flooded onto the market in the 90s. And it was like, I laugh because I'm like, we don't even have a vitamin P or a vitamin X. But, someone says, oh, A to Z, I'm covered. It will got my vitamins all from the A to Z, but we don't need that. And if you think in that tiny capsule or tablet, how many letters are in the alphabet?
26.
26 letters in the alphabet. So you've got a speckle of each ingredient in that capsule. It's not high enough of a therapeutic dose to have any benefit in the body. So you're better looking for formulas with, say, 5 ingredients that have got a potent dosage and therapeutic dosage of each ingredient in that formula. And whilst we're touching on AG1, what is really interesting with a lot of these greens drinks that are flooded onto the market, and it's why I only work with one greens drink that I recommend, is because all these greens drinks are not fresh freeze-dried. And I'll explain what that means. What you see on the label that's nutritionally in that greens drink is what's in that greens drink at source, at packaging. Because these companies don't fresh freeze dry the ingredients, which means you're like locking the nutrients in the formula, they will oxidize over time. So over the weeks, the months, especially when the consumer then opens the product and oxygen goes in, so the nutritional content of the greens drinks will drastically decline over time. The only ones where that doesn't happen is when they freeze dry the greens. So this is a product that I work with called Intense Greens Super Shake. But the reason most brands don't do that is they know the regular consumer, Joe Bloggs on the street, doesn't know even what freeze-drying greens means. And they'll see that nutritional profile on the label and assume that's in the product that they're consuming. But like I say, over the weeks and months of that product being sat on the shelf or the consumer opening it, the nutrients in that formula will drop down.
I just feel with a greens drink as well, one like AG1, it's like £79 a month. If you actually spent £79 a month on actual fruit and veg and greens, you would have a far better outcome than you would ever have on AG1.
75.
There you go.
Are there 75?
75 different ingredients.
Yes.
Well, my God.
Yeah.
None of them can be working.
And this goes back to the fundamentals of focusing on your nutrition as a solid foundation. I mean, I work with an Intense Green Shake, which I love for traveling.
Yeah.
So I'll take it with me and then I'm having to pick up a sandwich in an airport. I'm getting my greens in, but it is hands down the only greens drink that I would spend my money on. Because unless they are freeze drying the greens at source, they're just going to oxidize over time. It's similar to freezing broccoli. So you can buy frozen fruit and vegetables, frozen peas. I was even taught in Naturopathic Nutrition that frozen organic vegetables are actually a really good choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they're frozen at source, you throw them in your freezer at home and they're maintaining a lot of their nutritional profile because they're frozen. And it's exactly the same with freeze drying when it comes to greens using ingredients. But like I say, so many companies don't do this because of the expense of doing it and knowing that the regular consumer won't know any different. So again, even if you're just buying your spirulina powders and your chlorella powders that have become really popular in recent years, look on the label. And if they're not fresh freeze-dried at source, don't bother buying them because they're just going to be oxidizing and having very little nutritional ingredients in them by the time they reach the consumer.
I think it's a really interesting point. I saw a menopause supplement the other day, and again, that had 54 ingredients.
Yes.
In capsules, by the way.
In capsules, yeah, exactly.
54 ingredients. And I was like, well, they're not, I think that's right. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. But I was astounded. I was like, what the hell?
Yes.
I can't even imagine how small of a dosage each one of those got to be to get inside a capsule.
Yeah, so often less is more is the right approach to supplementation because when we're putting less nutrients in that capsule, that formula, like I say, it's going to be it's a dosage that's actually going to do some therapeutic benefit in the body.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not a huge fan of multivitamins.
No.
I've cherry-picked a select few that I distribute through my website, but other than that, because you're just trying to get too much into one capsule for it to offer any benefit for the client.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's get on to what we should all be taking.
Yes.
Obviously, if you are a lady of a certain age, maybe plus 30, I would definitely say get Elle-Sera. But Also, the biggest question we get is, what else should I be taking with Elle-Sera? Because a lot of people have, one, they say it's a vitamin when it's not. It's a botanical. So I always explain the difference between vitamins and what we are, which is botanicals and adaptogens. And the other thing is they think it's like an all-rounder. Well, they can stop taking everything. I'm like, no. This is part of your routine. This is not your be-all and end-all. And I go through the little list we're going to go through now.
Yes.
Which is, let you take it away.
And it's a really good point there what you make about Elle-Sera, because a question I often get asked is, can I take too many supplements as well? And I think this is important to mention before I go on to what I call the fundamental 5 supplements every woman should be taking. So this is a yes and no answer. When you're dealing with cheap synthetic supplements, yes, you can take too much, because when that inactive synthetic supplement goes into the body, the liver and the kidneys have to convert it to be utilised and activated in the body. And that puts a lot of pressure on the kidney and the liver because you're working with a highly synthetic supplement. I only work with food state supplements, which is exactly what Elle-Sera is. The nutrients in that formula are food state. So when someone says to me, can you take too many vitamins and minerals? Not really when it comes to food state. Obviously, that doesn't mean you need to take 20 Elle-Sera capsules daily. But that 2 Elle-Sera capsules that you take daily, because it's food state, it's botanical state, it's not synthetic, it's just like adding more nutrients to your nutrition each day. And that's a really good guide when you're buying supplements. Look to invest in those that are pure, natural and food state, because you're going to be receiving nutrients in an active form. So it puts less pressure on the liver and kidneys, and your body can utilise and use them much quicker and easily, which is why with Elle-Sera, sometimes people will see not just significant results with that, but they can see very fast results as well, because it's going into the body in a natural food state form that the body can utilise really quickly. So that leads nicely on to what I call the fundamental 5 that every woman should be taking to support her health and well-being. And this falls into the category of vitamins, minerals, and essential fatty acids. So the first one, and this mineral is having its glory day across social media at the moment, and rightly so, it's magnesium. And I refer to it as the miracle mineral, because the depressing statistic at the moment is around 75% of UK adults are deficient in this essential mineral. And the reason magnesium is so essential for the body is because other vitamins and minerals, for example, vitamin D, vitamin B, require magnesium to be present to work properly in the body. So a lot of other vitamins and minerals are relying on magnesium to be present in adequate levels so they can also work properly in the body. The reason we're in such a state of chronic magnesium deficiency is it's no longer in our over-depleted soils. Our fruit and vegetables are only as mineral and vitamin rich as the soils from which they grew.
Let me just interrupt you there, right? If anybody's watched Clarkson's Farm recently, they literally tested his soil and it was great, apart from it had no magnesium in it. So he then...
So there's nothing in our food chain.
Exactly. So, and that's just his farm, right? So he was doing this whole thing about regenerative farming and trying to make the soil more mineral rich. And he said, it's not just going to pay off like now, but it's going to pay off for like generations to come. And that's what he was doing. Anyway, so it proved to me what we've been saying for ages there, right, on Amazon. Like it hasn't got any magnesium in it.
Exactly. So we're not getting any magnesium in our food chain. And bear in mind, when we use these apps like Fitness app, when it's telling us what the nutritional content is of like a carrot, as an example, these food charts haven't been updated since the 80s. So that's what beta carotene was in a carrot in the 80s, but we've not updated. So we're actually being misled as well. What micronutrients are actually in the foods that we're consuming?
I feel like somebody should re-update this. We're in that 2024. We're in 2024. We've got the technology to do this really quickly, I would imagine, across a big scale.
Yes, yeah. So exactly. So we're not seeing that nutritional profile. It is waning in our food chain because our soils are so overfarmed and depleted. So we're not getting enough magnesium in our food chain. So, and when the body is magnesium deficient, it puts stress on the body. And this is where we end in a vicious cycle of what's called the vicious cycle of stress and magnesium deficiency. Because when we're stressed, it makes the body, we actually urinate magnesium out. It depletes the body and we urinate magnesium out. So that puts further stress on the body, which then makes us excrete more magnesium. So unless we supplement with a minimum of 400 milligrams of magnesium daily, we're never going to get out of this vicious cycle of stress and magnesium depletion. And that shows up in the body as restless legs, twitchy eyes, poor sleep, anxiety, low mood, hormonal imbalances, all what I witnessed in my pharmaceutical days, that because we're in a global pandemic of magnesium deficiency, these are the kind of acute, which can lead to chronic as well, acute ailments that are showing up in the body. And when I work with clients who are suspicious about supplements, they've got a really restrictive budget, they don't like swallowing capsules, I say to them, just start with magnesium then, because that's the springboard for getting you out of this vicious stress depletion cycle in the body. So you'll see reduced anxiety, improved sleep, increased energy, but also supplementing other vitamins and minerals to work in the body.
Okay, so with magnesium, which there's two questions here that I've got. So one, which type of magnesium is the best?
Yes.
And two, which way of delivering magnesium is the best? Because you can do it transdermally. You can do body spray. There's a body spray out there. There's a magnesium salts you can add to your bath.
Yes.
They almost like have a completely different absorption rate. And me personally, I take a liquid liposoluble magnesium at the moment. I love it. Drink it. And in the evening, bang, I'm away. And I also take capsules from time to time as well.
Yes.
But I know other people who do baths with magnesium in, and I just think it can't be as effective.
Yeah, and that's how I approach it with my clients. Is I say, applying magnesium transdermally or having a salt bath, that's like a bonus. So at least every day, take your magnesium in capsule liquid form internally. So taking it through the mouth. And then if you do apply anything topically or have a salt bath, great. So as an example, I have a salt bath as a form of like a self-care ritual 2 to 3 times a week. And then sometimes if I've done a strong session in the gym or I'm feeling aches and pains in the body, I have a beautiful magnesium oil that I'll apply topically. But that doesn't make me alter what I'm taking orally, magnesium-wise. I just see that as an additional bonus because especially as a woman, the week before and the week of our menstrual cycle, we utilize more magnesium. If we're, as entrepreneurs and business owners, if we've had a stressful day at work, we'll utilize more magnesium. If we've done a hard session in the gym, we'll utilize more magnesium. So doing these things like the salt baths and the topical lotions is just adding a bit extra into when our body requires it. But other than that, I always say to people, take a minimum 400 milligram dose in capsule or liquid form daily. My preferred forms of magnesium are liposomal magnesium or magnesium bisglycinate. Magnesium citrate is also popular. Threonate is popular. But they also compete with calcium for absorption in the body. So when people take high doses of magnesium because they find it so good for their health, their hormones, their energy, it can push calcium levels down in the body. The only 2 forms of magnesium that you don't need to worry about with this is bisglycinate and liposomal because they don't compete with calcium absorption in the body. So for me, it's the safest way of taking magnesium.
What if it was a magnesium bisglycinate liposomal?
Even better. Best of the best.
Well, there we go.
Liposomal, in case anyone's wondering, that's like the highest form of bioavailability. Bisglycinate is still really, really good. And a lot of people like bisglycinate because it's very relaxing as well. So good to take in the evening. But yeah, if you were combining liposomal bisglycinate, you'd be optimizing both absorption and form of magnesium.
That would be like A-star, best in class.
Yes, exactly that. Yeah.
Okay. Right. We've got 10 minutes. Let's run through the next 4.
Okay, I'll skip through. So after that comes omega-3. It's essential fatty acid. The clue's in the name. It's essential for human health, but we cannot make it ourselves. We have to take it in through our nutrition or supplements. This is where the big but comes in. Nutritionally, we get it from algae and seaweed, which is not huge in the Western diet. The other form is wild oily fish. Now, we've seen the increased vegan movement and plant-based movement where people aren't eating fish. For a lot of people, they don't like eating fish. They don't like the taste. And those of us that do eat fish, a lot of us are buying farmed fish from the supermarket, which is fed pellets. So basically, wild oily fish has such a high omega-3 content because it eats seaweed and algae out in the wild rivers and oceans. So if you were to put a wild oily fish under a microscope compared to a farmed fish, their omega-3 content will be significantly different. So the best option is to buy wild oily fish like sockeye salmon, Marks and Spencer's, Waitrose, Ocado, they all sell sockeye salmon, and also tinned wild salmon. So like your mackerel, your sardines, your anchovies. And then, of course, taking a high...
The thing about tins, though, is it's got PFAs on the inside of a tin. So this just scares me.
Yeah.
So like the BPA on the inside of it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
So
you've
can't
got
get away
orange
with it.
tuna, you've got you've now got the jarred mackerel and sardines.
Right.
Higher price point.
Yeah.
So with tinned fish, I say 3 times a week. But yeah, of course, you've got this to take into account as well. So another way is to take a high quality omega-3 supplement. Omega-3 is one of the most lucrative and in-demand and Googled supplements in the world. And I'd say 95% of the world's omega-3 is produced in a laboratory. So it's a synthetic oil. So a lot of people, when they take a fish oil, it repeats on them. It's not absorbable in the stomach. So you need to opt for a pure, high-quality omega-3. There's only one that I work with. It's called Pure and Wild Omega-3. And that I actually sourced from South Africa because the toxicity rating of that fish oil is the lowest in the world. There's no other fish oil on the market that has as low a toxicity rating as that.
Put me in an order on that.
Yeah.
Can I give it to Grace, my kids?
Yes, for children, it's suitable from 12 months old.
Okay.
Obviously, they don't want to swallow the capsule, so you can pierce the capsule, squirt it into their mouth. It's so palatable because it's so clean, or you can squirt it into their food and disguise it that way.
Yeah, put it in the Weetabix or something.
If you're vegan, you'd be looking for a high quality, pure algae sourced omega-3.
Okay.
So that's the second one. And again, from my pharmaceutical days, I saw Alzheimer's, dementia, depression, anxiety, because the brain is 60% essential fats. And so many of us don't have this EPA and DHA omega-3 essential fatty acid in our nutrition. It was causing lots of disorders in the body, such as brain disorders and things like arthritis and inflammatory disorders, endometriosis.
I can't,
I
am absolutely, I can't tell you how much it's so critical. You know what also annoys me? It's like the government know how important omega-3 is and they never push this message. And there's a guy called Dr. Michael something. Sorry guys, I'll have to put it in the show notes because I can't remember his name. Anyway, he'd done some incredible work. He's about 92 right now and he's still pushing this message on essential fatty acids. You've got to be taking omega-3.
Every day.
They've done studies on children in Denmark, 40,000 children in Denmark. Big difference, right? In the mothers who had a predominantly fish diet when they were pregnant and the ones who didn't. The big and they looked at these kids up until they got to the age of 7. The difference in their intelligence, behaviour, everything is significant.
And that's so interesting because as a pregnant woman, the omega-3 is taken from the pregnant woman to grow the baby's brain and eyes. And that's why baby brain and postnatal depression is a symptomatic that the pregnant mother has become depleted in omega-3 because she's had to give so much to the baby. So that is one of the most important times in your life to really taking a high amount of omega-3, but maintain that throughout your life, which is why the traditional Mediterranean diet is so good for longevity and vitality because omega-3 keeps our joints subtle, our skin healthy, our brain strong. And what we're dealing with at the moment is an omega-6 dominant food chain, which is keeping us in a pro-inflammatory state. I don't even eat chicken more than 3 times a week. People are, chicken's so lean, it's healthy. No, it puts the body in an omega-6 dominant state.
Do not say this to me.
So we need to bring in more omega-3 through wild oily fish and omega-3 supplementation. Otherwise, the body's just sitting in a pro-inflammatory omega-6 state.
Oh, God. Okay. So next
3, vitamin D. Vitamin D is the sunshine vitamin. It's also fat soluble. So if you take it with omega-3 enhances the uptake of vitamin D in the body. And if you're living in the UK, there's only 6 months of the year we even get vitamin D from the sun. From October to March, the vitamin D, even on a sunny day, if we get one, and the the sun's rays hit the earth at a latitude, we cannot absorb vitamin D from the sun.
Even the NHS website say that you have to be supplementing vitamin D from October to March. That's it, and they're well behind.
Stage affective disorder. Yeah. Don't go for cheap vitamin D. It's made from cholecalciferol. I struggle to say that, which is what they make rat poison out of. Go for a plant-sourced vitamin D that's often sourced from lichen, which is similar to mushrooms. Vitamin D is fat-soluble, so take it with your omega-3 to enhance absorption. And then once it gets into the liver, it's activated by magnesium. If you don't have enough magnesium in your body, the vitamin D gets pushed into your arteries and hardens your arteries. So that's why that magnesium, again, is really, really important. And why I was, in COVID times, was cringing when we were being pushed to take really high doses of vitamin D, but no one was being told to take magnesium to activate it.
Well,
that's
it.
So
I
important.
say this to everyone I ever meet. I'm like, if you're taking vitamin D, which everybody is, they're not taking magnesium. I'm like, well, it's fucking pointless.
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't listen. They go, I'll be all right.
This is a big frustration for me in the pharmaceutical industry, that doctors will prescribe high levels of vitamin D without giving the client magnesium and wondering why the vitamin D levels don't normalise. So magnesium, number one, omega-3 essential fatty acid, vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin, then vitamin B. B12 has become really popular in recent years. Unless you're severely B12 deficient, I would always go for a complex of vitamin Bs, because vitamin B6, which is good for GABA production and mood, vitamin B5, pantothenic acid for energy, vitamin B12 is good for cognitive function. They all work together like a family, if you will, in the body. And B vitamins, think busy vitamins. We're burning them off so quickly with our lifestyles. They're water soluble, so they quickly pass in our urine. We must be taking in a vitamin B complex daily. Go for a methylated vitamin B complex. Most vitamin Bs on the high street are not methylated, so they're inactive. So the body needs to convert them. So it's a much better and safer option to go for a methylated B vitamin. And B vitamins are like best friends with soulmates, I often say, with magnesium in the body. Those two work beautifully to regulate your nervous system and support your energy levels. So again, linking back to magnesium always has to be in there, because your B vitamins will work better when there's magnesium present in the body. And then the fifth and final one is, of course, the gut. It's our pre and probiotics. So taking a good quality probiotic, but I always recommend formulas that also contain a prebiotic. So clients will often make the mistake of jumping on Amazon or going into a high street store and picking up a probiotic and assuming that's going to be the most beneficial for their gut health. The issue with just taking a probiotic in isolation is probiotics are the good bacteria your tummy needs to function optimally. But if probiotics drop into the digestive tract and it's stressed, sugar, wheat, etc., that all dysregulate the gut, that probiotic may not populate and balance the gut microbiome. Instead, it needs to be taken with prebiotics, which are like food fertilizer for the probiotics. So the probiotics can feed on the prebiotics and then multiply and colonize the gut microbiome and help balance it out, because we want more good bacteria in the gut than bad bacteria. But for a lot of people, they've got a higher amount of bad bacteria to good bacteria. So it's really important we take a probiotic combined with a prebiotic to help outnumber that bad bacteria and help balance out the gut. So we get better bowel regularity, less bloating, improved skin, improved mood. 90% of our happy hormone, our serotonin, is produced in the gut and sent up the gut to brain axis to the brain. Because that's how human life forms started as one cell, which splits into two. Half becomes your gut, half becomes your brain, and that's how we begin to grow as a human. So it's so important that we do nourish the gut properly. But yeah, like I say, a health hack for me is always combining your probiotic with a prebiotic as well.
Well, there you go, ladies. That is your absolute fundamental 5. So this is the question we get asked the most. What should be taken with Elle-Sera? And there is your answer.
That's your foundation.
Yeah.
Your fundamental 5 alongside your Elle-Sera is what's going to support your energy, your hormones, your sleep, your weight management, inflammation levels in the body. And I'd always say that as like a fundamental health protocol to take throughout the year. And then you can add on other things, collagen, etc., supporting hair, skin and nail health. But keep that as the fundamental foundation to your health and well-being every day.
Perfect. Kate, if anyone wants to get hold of you, how do they get hold of you?
So I'm on Instagram. I am Kate Living, and I also have a website available globally, and that is www.katelivingsupplements.com.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I love chatting to you. I could chat to you all day, but unfortunately we've come to the end of the podcast. But thank you so much for joining us.
Absolute pleasure. I look forward to the next one.
Bye.
Thanks, Alyssa.